Cursed Flight 13B. Flight 13B was departing from a small isolated airport, nestled in the heart of the dense Eerie forest. The weather was overcast, the air pregnant with an impending storm. Passengers gathered around the gate, each with a feeling of unease gnawing at the back of their minds. Something about this flight seemed off. As the passengers boarded, they exchanged nervous glances. The flight attendants wore forced smiles, their eyes betraying their own trepidation. The flight was filled with an eerie stillness as the plane taxied onto the runway, the forest looming like a sentinel in the background. Once airborne, the unease among the passengers deepened. The plane's engines emitted strange guttural noises, and the cabin lights flickered ominously. The storm outside intensified, with thunder and lightning assaulting the aircraft. It was as if the very elements conspired to keep Flight 13B from reaching its destination. Mid-flight, the turbulence grew severe, and the passengers gripped their armrests white-knuckled. The plane shuddered and bucked, causing screams to echo through the cabin. The overhead bins burst open, sending luggage and debris flying. Panic overtook the passengers, and fear was etched into their faces. Amidst the chaos, a man in a worn leather jacket and a battered hat whispered to the person seated next to him, "I've heard about this flight. They say it's cursed, that those who board it are never seen again." The passenger turned to look at him, terror reflected in their eyes. The cabin lights dimmed to an eerie red glow, casting long, sinister shadows across the seats. In the midst of the storm, the plane seemed to lose altitude rapidly. The man in the leather jacket clutched his armrest and closed his eyes, muttering a prayer. He was not alone. Others around him were doing the same. The flight attendants struggled to maintain their composure, but their expressions grew increasingly desperate. They began whispering to each other, their voices too low to be heard over the roaring storm. Passengers exchanged fearful glances, wondering if the flight crew knew something they didn't. Suddenly, with a violent jolt, the plane descended rapidly. The passengers screamed in terror as they felt the aircraft plummeting toward the dark forest below. The trees loomed closer, and it seemed inevitable that the plane would crash into the unforgiving woods. But just as disaster seemed inevitable, the plane's descent abruptly halted. It hovered, seemingly suspended in midair, as if defying the laws of physics. The passengers were frozen in a state of shock, their screams silenced. Then a voice came over the intercom, cold and detached. "Welcome to Flight 13B, it said. "You are now our passengers for eternity." The cabin was filled with a chorus of terrified cries as the plane continued to hang in the air, suspended between the stormy skies and the dark forest. To this day, Flight 13B remains a mystery. It is said that those who vanished on that fateful flight are trapped in a never-ending nightmare, suspended between the living and the dead, their souls eternally bound to the cursed plane. And on stormy nights, when the wind howls and the lightning cracks, the ghostly apparition of Flight 13B can still be seen, lurking in the skies, a macabre reminder of the horrors that await those who dare to board. Thanks for watching.